Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And let's make dua inshallah before we start. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma anta as-salam wa minka as-salam tabarakta ya dhal jalali wal ikram. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa shafi'ina wa habibina wa maulana Muhammad wa barik wa sallam. Allahumma rabbana zinna ilman nafi'a wa amala mutaqabbala wa rizqan wasi wa shifa'a min kulli da. Allahumma rabbana zinna ilman nafi'a wa amala mutaqabbala wa rizqan wasi wa shifa'a min kulli da. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Fasubhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wassalamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amin. Qala rabbi shrah li wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Last class we started discussing the prerequisites and understanding, after learning all of the prerequisites to marriage and understanding carefully what we need to understand in choosing a spouse, all of the qualities that we should look for. Now the process where we are going to discuss some tonight inshallah, the essence of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in relationship to when that time comes for proposals, or we say engagement in our normal terms. What do we do? How do we react to proposals or engagement? And we draw reference to the importance what Islam says to us in relationship towards that individual and a family. That especially in the case of a woman, a girl, she has a family and the importance and that relationship that she draws with her family, and especially with her father or her bigger brother or her uncle, someone who shows her that level of trust and confidence that she has no doubt whatsoever that there is someone who can stand up for her. And that is an important aspect when it comes to proposal and understanding proposals, especially as a Muslim, and how we conduct a proposal. And last week we went ahead to look and understand basically how society today do and operate when it comes to proposals. So let us look what the Quran tells us here on page 527. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions here in the surah, He states, وَانْقِحُوا الْأَيَامَ مِنْكُمْ وَالصَّالِحِينَ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وَأَنْقِحُوا الْأَيَامَ مِنْكُمْ وَالصَّالِحِينَ مِنْ عِبَادِكُمْ وَإِمَائِكُمْ إِيَّكُونُوا فُقَرَاءَ يُغْنِيهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ وَاللَّهُ وَاسِعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Translation it has here is that, and arrange the marriage of a spouseless among you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, and arrange the marriage of a spouseless among you, and the capable from among your bondmen and bond girls. If they are poor, Allah will enrich them out of His grace. And Allah is all-encompassing, all-knowing. Surah Nur, Surah 24, verse 32. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very clear here in this ayat. What is the responsibility of those who are given wilayat or guardianship, or the term that we use, responsible for their children? He says, arrange their marriage. So it is clear-cut in the Quran that the responsibility of our children are on our shoulders. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed on that wali. The word here tells us ayama is the plural for ayim, which is used for all those men and women who are not married. So the Quran tells us that in that ayat, in that verse, or that particular word, ayama. Irrespective of the situation, whether they have not yet been married or were married earlier and have become divorcee or widow or widower, the guardian parents of such men and women are directed in this verse to arrange their marriage. Scholars and jurists are unanimous on the point that according to the manner and address of this verse, the preferable and sunnah way of marriage is that men and women have it arranged through their guardian rather than arranging it directly. Right? Now this is what the sunnah and the Quran tells us, right? As opposed to what may happen in our society today, which we will come to in a while. But we have to understand what is the core principle of Quran and Sunnah. When we understand that, then we see how much we are on that and how far we are away from that. And that's what we have to understand. So the Quran tells us, Allah says, arrange their marriage. And scholars have said this is what the Sahabas, this is what the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. Arrange marriages. There are many worldly and religious benefits in the tradition, especially in the case of girls. Even more, it is more important in regards of them. So, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala alayhi and some other imams have ruled that this instruction describes a sunnah and the preferred way of contract of marriage. So Imam Abu Hanifa and all the other schools of law has recognized this as being the process of marriage. And if an adult girl marries someone with her own decision, without her guardian's permission, it is a proper marriage here. It will occur without any what? Wali, or without what we call a wakil, someone representing her. Will it be proper? In terms of the marriage being valid, yes, it will be according to our school of law. Imam Abu Hanifa alayhi rahmah. According to the next three schools of law, no. According to them, there is this difference of opinion. Although she would be reprehensible for this act because it is against the sunnah unless she has done so under an unavoidable circumstance. The marriage is valid, yes, but it seems as though it is disliked because it is against what the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has described as being in the sunnah. But for the validity of the marriage, it is intact, according to Imam Abu Hanifa alayhi rahmah. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala and some other imams have ruled her marriage will be null and void if carried out without her guardian's permission. So, most of us, we are Hanafi followers. So the leniency to this particular sharat or condition for marriage is that according to our teachings, our school of law, there is a leniency for the allowance of this. However, it is reprehensible, meaning it is disliked that someone will carry out their marriage without their guardian's permission. It will occur, the marriage will be valid, but according to the next three schools of law, it will not take place. This is according to the three different schools of law, other than Imam Abu Hanifa alayhi rahmah. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala reported that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that a woman without a husband must not be married till she is consulted, and a virgin must be married till her permission is asked. When asked how her permission was indicated, he replied that it was by her saying nothing. This hadith is found in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, meaning that she remains silent. If she remains silent while the proposal is brought to her, and her silence is a sign of consent. So this actual proposal now, someone comes to this woman, this is a state, then proposal to her by an approval is by her silence. So clear cut from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, following hadith Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, tells us clearly from Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala that the Prophet ﷺ made this clear indication that even her silence will be a source of approval. However, if for any reason she makes a distinction and says no, or shows a sign that she's saying no, then no marriage could ever what? Take place. No marriage can take place by her not approving. No matter how much her parents could force her, or anybody tries to what? persuade her in any direction. If she says no, no is no. And that is the law. And that is the law that Allah and the rights that Allah has given to women and for men. In other words, no parent could tell their sons to marry this particular girl, and you have to marry this particular girl. The answer, if he says no, the answer is no. And you could do whatever you want, but if that person refuses, you could probably put them out of the house or take away all the property you want to give them or whatever, your riches you have for them and whatever you want to do, all well and good. But when they say no, no is no. And the marriage will never be valid. And if you force this marriage on them and they go in front of a qadi, a judge, it can be annulled. Of course, we do have those type of qadi and judge in Trinidad that approves Islamic marriages and laws. But in the eyes of Allah, it will be invalid. All right, so this tells us clearly that there is a role and a function between a wali. A wali is that person, as I mentioned last class, who is the direct father and uncle, meaning the father's brother, or the grandfather, or it could be an elder amongst the other uncles of the paternal, maternal uncles for that particular girl, or in the case if a boy wants to ask someone to get married, they can also use a wali. And this wali and a wakil, there is a distinction, all right? Although they mean one and the same in a general sense, but in the actual sense, a wali carries a greater weight in the actual making or carrying about the proposals, as opposed to a wakil, which is actually used on the day of the nikah or the marriage itself, which could be not the father, but it could be probably an uncle as well, but someone who's a ghayr mahram, someone the person cannot marry. All right? So the wali acts as the woman's agent in arranging a marriage. He accepts this and screens inquiries from potential suitors, supervises any meeting between the prospective suitors and the woman, and gives the woman advice on the suitor and any proposal she may have reviewed or received. This is the wali. Who does it sound like? You know, he supervises every move. So this person comes to see or make a proposal. He wants to see this girl, who is his daughter. He must sit in a range that he must see them. He don't necessarily hear what they're talking, but he must see. Be within range. All right? And that is important according to the traditions. Now, this is according to Sunnah and the traditions, and this is what is allowed in the Sharia. All right? What is allowed? We are talking what happens today. We're talking what is allowed in Sharia. So far we have only discussed what Quran, Sunnah, and the Sharia, according to Imam Abu Hanifa alayhi rahmah, according to the other three schools of law, have given allowance to. It is not based on the principles of what really occurs in our time, but on the principles of what? Sharia and the law says. So it continues and tells us, the woman cannot ever be alone with any potential suitors, and if her wali or wakil, father or legal representative is not an immediate family member, she cannot be alone with him either. The wali or wakil, in this case would be the wali more importantly, can screen inquiries from potential suitors. The final say on the proposal belongs to the woman. For the marriage to be valid, she must consent on her own free will. So the wali could give all the advice. He could say everything. This is a good person and every single thing about it. But if she still says no, still no. No matter how much he advises. All right? Now, all this said and done, let's look now at our case today. All right? So we started this discussion last week. We now come to understand what the Quran, what the Sunnah tells us. What the Sharia and the law itself says. And what do we see today? If this does this particular structure or this particular way or method being carried out today in our society? If we ask ourselves and analyze, this really happens in our time today? This sounds really what? Far-fetched. It sounds impossible, impractical, because our society does not fit the description. And we have to be real about it. We have to be real to know that in our society, all that I've mentioned there, maybe, I'm not saying that there's no exception. I'm not saying that they may not happen, but I'm saying generally, we could say more than, I don't want to call a percentage because I could be calling the wrong percentage. But I would say a greater majority of our brothers and our sisters may not have followed these guidelines. And we ourselves in our own homes, we could do our own statistics and tell how many of us in our own marriages would have had this particular way being carried out for us. And that will tell with us, with our brothers, with our sisters, whether or not this was really done. Now, I'm not going to say what we are doing today is entirely what? Haram or wrong or is a bad thing to do. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, we were on the wrong track either. But what I'm saying is that we must be able to differentiate and understand clearly what is Quran and Sunnah telling us and what is the way and the lifestyle of the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the one who we should what? Emulate and live according to, and this Islam that we profess to be following, and what we do. Right? So the objective of this class is not to bash anyone or to say things that will to make us further away or feel that we are offended or he come and he offend people here. It's not that. But the objective really is for us to come to an understanding and some level of reasoning in ourselves that maybe our grandchildren, maybe our children, maybe an opportunity will be before us to bring some level of change in our home so that the next possible suitor or the next possible arrange or proposal or the next person that will leave my home will probably get a better married life. An opportunity. If we ourselves make an effort to bring about that change. So, as I said, this is what the objective is really. Not to make any other thing except that. For us to understand how to change these things in our lives as Muslims. Because if we wait on society to give us that, we are never going to find it. Because society today has moved away totally from any type of system that we call marriage today. And amongst the factors, if we ask ourselves, when someone comes to our home to make a proposal to our daughter, what will be the likely thought in the minds of the parents as opposed to the daughter? What does the mother of this child wants for her daughter, and what does the daughter want? The same thing? And the person who comes to make the offer? You think it will be the same thing? These are two different minds. Mother mind is an overprotective mind, and no doubt she must be overprotective and extremely loving and make sure that her daughter goes in a good home and is secured and has the best husband and everything. That is in the mind of the mother. But in the mind of the daughter, what does she think? Good boy, opportunity, better chance, all the things there. Doesn't look at may not look at all the risk involved, isn't that so? May not look at all the potential dangers that are there, but sees someone who might do some good to her. But really and truly, what plays in this instance? Experience, love, what plays? Let's look at the first thing. Love at first sight. So, many marriages start on love at first sight. So the proposal comes, you see this boy, you go on head over heels and are ready to get married? No. But sometimes marriage starts on love and ends with hate. You want to know how love could turn into what? Hate. You want to be with this person, but every day in your life now you can't stand being with this person. Is that possible? We understand that the level that a person would reach after showing love and showing that I really love this person and I want to be married to this person. And after a few months, you start to drift apart. You start to move apart. Then you start to go to hate. Then you're watching all the bad faults. Then I can't stand you at all. I can't be with you. I can't handle you. But that was love. That was the proposal that come to you and you fall head over heels for it. What's wrong with the proposal now? You know, there is a saying as well that, love is like an infection, a disease. And the cure for that disease is marriage. Really and truly. You fall into that prey and think that the cure for that disease really is going to solve by marriage. We have to wait and really think so. Because sometimes it is not really so. And the fact is, if we love someone, when is the best time to love them? In other words, I marry the love of my life. Is that really the case? That people really marry the love of their life, so someone come and propose, and this is the love of my life. In our society today, this is what they try to find, the most perfect person, the love of my life. This is the love of my life. But does Islam teach us that? This is what society tries to bring forward, that we look for the love of our life. The person who is best to me. But really and truly, is this really what takes place? Do we get the love of our life and we are happy all the time? Or what Islam tells us? Because many of the arranged marriages that were brought about by the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, definitely, first time you see somebody, that is it. But yet the arrangement took place. The arrangement took place. So what do we learn? What do we learn? Many of us come to our parents by birth, and that is the only way it happens. But do we hate our parents or do we grow to love our parents? Do we grow to hate them or do we grow to love them? Which one? How many of us really hate our parents? Or how many of us really love our parents? Or how many of us just tolerate them? Or just look at the good things, or somebody will just say, look, I just don't like my parents. They just see me and single me out alone as the most difficult thing for them, and they give me all the pressure. What happens? What happens in that relationship with our parents? And that tells a lot. Because that is a principle that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us about love. Because love is not something it just happens. We could say, yes, well, the mother loved the child because this is what? She gave birth to this child, so she must love this child. She must show affection to this child. She'll grow up loving this child because this child will give fun memories and so on, and all these different things will happen. But really and truly, how does the child feel about the mother? Do you feel that the child feels the same way about the mother as the mother feels about the child? How one could gauge that relationship? How could a father gauge whether or not his son loves him as much as he loves his son? Impossible, isn't that so? We cannot gauge that love just like that. We think so. We think that we love our children so much. But do our children really love us the same way? Or reciprocate the same type of level of love? And that is a principle also found in marriage. That is a principle also found in marriage. That sometimes do we marry the one who we really love, or do we start loving the one we marry? Which one? Do we marry the one we love, or do we start loving the one that we got married to? Which way does it work? Isn't the second way? That we have to start loving the person that we have gotten married to. So in a proposal, one of the guiding principles is that love is not the main criterion, because that is a principle in the marriage. The minute you hook up to this person in marriage, then the loving relationship starts. Not before, not by the proposal, and we see that's engagement so they could live together now until they get married. No. Proposal does not mean love, and love does not start until the actual marriage takes place. Then you have to start loving this person. Don't start hating this person. Start loving this person. Because this is what the Dean tells us. When you get married to someone, the objective is to start to treat this individual with love. But does it work so in our marriages? See, proposal is important to understand, because sometimes we think about love and infatuations in marriages, and that is the condition, sometimes the main criterion for taking and choosing a spouse. But really and truly, it may not be. You might be lucky if it might be the love of your life that you get married to and you could continue loving that person. Or you might find someone with very good qualities, but if there was somebody else who was actually what? Scooping out otherwise. So then how do you continue in a marriage if there's love on one side and an eye on the next side? The truth of the matter is that if we have to choose in love, love in a relationship should continue to make us bind stronger and stronger in a marriage. And every day that we live in that marriage, that love must continue to be expressed. But it's not a principle for a proposal. It may be a guiding light. Yes, you see somebody good, that, and you have an attraction, and definitely you need to have that as well. But it is not love. It's an attraction. It is not what? Love. Love can only be expressed when it starts to develop and grow, and affection and a sharing starts to develop. Then love starts. But don't think about love that, from the day we are in love, because when you go down the road, then you get to realize, as I said before, all the love you talk turn to hate, then something wrong with that marriage. Something wrong to that marriage. You married a person, and you say, why did I marry this person for? If I cannot love this person, I cannot treat this person with love, then something is wrong. Definitely wrong. So bear that in mind. Let us bear that in mind. That if it is that we are in this state in our marriages, think about what Allah wants from us. That we come in a relationship with someone, and Allah puts us in that marriage, and one of the most important ingredients is love, and yet we cannot experience and show love, then we have to figure out how to start to do that. And this guiding principle must be taught to our young men and young women. Why? Because today, boys have not been taught how to make proposals as yet, or what to look for, and how to treat, and how to give, and how to make a proposal. How many of us have taught our children, our boys, how to make a proposal to someone? How to make a proposal to someone, and how to see someone, and that person you want to make a proposal to them. Nowadays, I'll tell you how it works. You see someone you like, you buy a flashy car. You buy some nice clothes. You fix your hair in a nice way. You buy some of the fanciest things, and that is how they learn to do what? Build the attraction, so then they get closer and closer. I don't have a proposal. That is, exactly. So it is wrong. Maybe you might attract the wrong thing. You might attract the wrong direction, right? That is not a proposal. That is not a proposal. So, it is like shahwa and desire and showing these type of things. That is not what? Proposals. Proposals must be done with the level that our children know what they are looking for, and that the level should be what? What do we desire that our sons look for in a girl? Ideally. Do we teach our sons what to look for? Now, I'm just raising the question because I want you to understand the reality of society today with our own children in our own homes when they are making these type of proposals which they have no idea about at times, and they find themselves in trouble, and then we want to reprimand them, is because we have not taught them about what? Proposals. We have not taught them about what to look for in a proposal. So they go about trying to make a proposal in whatever way they could, however they see fit to fit in a proposal. And definitely that is a no situation. So we are told that that is one of the things that we cannot do. All right? What about other aspects of our society today? When we come to proposal again, we see a girl, or someone comes and tells us they want us to get married to their daughter. But she is career-oriented, you know. She's a boss in a business. She has her own job. She might be coming home late from work, and so and so and so. And the boy say, wait. So she is the boss, and I am my own boss. So when we reach home, two boss reach home. Right? So how does this work in the house? You know, and I'm telling you this is the reality of what happens today as opposed to what happened in the past. Because in the past, it was before proposals, women were generally understood to be people or women in Islam, that they were the people who would take care of the home, not that they never work hard or do anything difficult. They did all of these things. They also help and support their husbands. But the Industrial Revolution has brought us to the state where women and proposal have changed in our society today. Because we have women working and men working. So if you go to make a proposal now and you meet a situation where both parties are working, men usually still have the mentality that when they come home from work, they finish. They can't do anything more, they're tired. But the woman who comes from work must continue to do what? All the housework. Now you come to a proposal. If in your mind, you know in your heart that you want a wife who will take care of your home, and you're going to get married to a woman whom has her own life and career ahead and cannot take care of your home or your kids, and she'll leave it in the care and guidance of someone else, and do not care for yourself because she has her whole life ahead of her, then how will that marriage work? That's the reality today. That's the problem we have in many society homes today, you know, because they cannot keep with the pace. That's why today in our society, women who are working, you find them in where? Bars. So they go with their co-worker to the bar. They go with their co-worker to a sports club. They go to gym together. They go do things together with their co-worker. Male or female, there is no what? Difference in gender now because they are co-workers. So your wife calls you. This is the proposal you're going to think of the proposal. I have my wife. She's working. So you know, I have to go to the boys this evening. I can't come home to cook for you this evening. Take care of your business this evening. So you think to yourself in a proposal that you want to get involved in with a woman who is working, whether you want a woman like this to be your wife. Now this is the society we are living in today. Right. Yeah, so yeah. So here am I sharing everything. But really and truly, I want you to understand this, because at the time of proposal, things look good. Because you're seeing what? You might be seeing the money, you might be seeing all the other perks, but the thing you're not seeing is a relationship together. When would you find time to have a relationship if such a relationship has to develop? And these are things, what we call a prenup. You know, prenuptial agreements? Those are things that are done before the marriage. Must be cleared. Don't get involved in a proposal and acceptance, and you don't know what this woman does, and you don't know what this man do. Because the time you get involved afterwards, sometimes it's too what? Too late. It's too late. You make each other's life a miserable thing. It becomes miserable. Because the things you had as a dream and expectation, what you might see in the movies, and all the different things about marriage, and how life has been marriage in the movies, is not really what reality in the world is. No. That's not the way it is. It's a different ball game. It's a different type of thing. Because people go to work, come back with different mentalities. They might not want to see you or hear you. They might do different things, and you might become upset. But this is your wife, this is your husband, but this is how they behave. It may not be the best appropriate behavior, because when you come in your home, it should be different. As Muslims, we must learn how to have this adab and etiquette to treat it our family. But what we have to get at is that whilst in the proposal, we must bear all these things in mind. How we are going to share this work in the house. When that time reach, we will see about that. Don't ever say when that time reach or when that bridge reach, we go cross it. Because when that bridge reach, sometimes it have plenty what? Let's say boards or planks missing on the bridge. So you really can't cross. You understand? That what happens. Can't cross the bridge. Too much of things on the bridge. Alright? Because you leave things for too late. So whilst in proposal, these are things in our society today must be checked. Must be checked. Don't be afraid to ask, because we live in a society that we have to face up with this. We have to face up with it. Because it's our children who we have sent to our girls to school. They are educated, and nothing is wrong with education, and nothing is wrong with having a job. But they must also know what is their duty as a wife. And our husband and our boys today must not think that when they come home, the work finished, the work done. Now I could go online with the boys, or now I could do this, or now I could do that, and leave everything for the wife. Because those things don't work anymore in a society like ours today. In our society like ours today. So while thinking of proposal, think about that. Think about that and make it explicitly clear, because sometimes when it goes down, it's going to be real difficult. Really difficult. So we look at that aspect of it. So when we're going to teach our children about proposals, we're going to teach them also to look at these qualities. If this woman, despite her job, will do justice to me in my marriage, or if this woman or this man will do justice to me in marriage. That's why in many foreign lands, and especially in those Indo-Pak continent, people who are from those countries who will go to America and establish their lives, they don't take wives from America, you know. You know what they do, right? They go to India or Pakistan and bring down a wife there, because they can't what? They can't handle their people, women who are living in America. And that's the reality. I'm not telling you this because, you know, I'm telling you this sort of thing. But this is what happens. This is statistics. You go and check it. This is what happens. Right? This is what happens. This is what happens. They're not going to take that because they can't handle that. I prefer.
Before when the proposal is taking place, they trash it out.
Trash it out. You must trash it out. Yeah.
This is what I am about, and this is what I am.
Yeah. And make it clear. Make it clear up front. Because if you know you're going down this road and you can't handle it, don't go down the road. Not because of attraction or love, as you would say, because that love is not really love. Because these are the things that grind it down. These are the things that grind it to a finish. All right? So it continues and tells us, you know, with this level of gender expectation we're talking about really here between men and women today, because some women actually feel they're like what? Men. They're actually doing the jobs of men and feel that they have that same responsibility as men. But they cannot take that role in the house, as Allah has given men that right to look after women. And also the woman has a right in the home to take care of that home. Allah has also given her that position. So those are two clear-cut things that we have moved away from the Sunnah, apart from all the other aspects of proposals. And if we continue and look at that again, you know, if we ask ourselves, why today in our society, what is the average age that our children get married? Average age. You know, today that statistic came out in Trinidad about population in Trinidad, right? 1.3 million people, and the distribution between the ethnicity, and there's more men than women. All right? These are statistics that came out only in our country today that we have gotten information about, maybe a little while now, but the fear and the understanding is that what age do our children get married at? And this is important to understand what's happening in society today, because when we look at it, children, what we call children today, marry at the age of between 25 and 30 years. Some people may go up to 35 if they complete their PhD and their masters and so on. All right? So you can reach up to the average age of 30 years, and then they decide to what? Get married. What did the Prophet ﷺ tell us, and the Quran tells us about marriage? And we did the ayat before. And arrange the marriage of the spouseless. Arrange it. It's an important part. This is what the Quran says, but what happens in society today is a different thing. When they reach this age, now we are what? Looking for what? getting someone for them to marry. At this age, when you look at it, what really happens, is this the most suitable age for our children to get married in Islam? Is it? And you know what is the worry of many parents? And it's a genuine worry and a genuine concern, is that when their children reach this age, who will really what? Take them up? Who is going to look after them? Who's going to look after them? And the truth of the matter is that sometimes our young men, and it's sad to say, and we'll come to two sides of the adverse of this, that our men sometimes, we always hear this talk, that our boys are not educated enough for our young girls. I'm telling you, that's what happens. So, the young boys feel they can't get the what? Muslim young girls, educated girls, so they go and they marry what? Non-Muslim girls. Alright? Check for yourself. I just say what happens. And then, I'm not saying that is a problem, because we have not probably educated our children to a standard. And then what happens? They leave our young girls to go where? Then who bears the burden? Who bears that burden? Now, I'm not justifying either or. I'm just letting you know the reality of the situation that is happening. I cannot say what is right or wrong because I have already stated what the Quran and the Sunnah and the Imam Abu Hanifa alayhi rahmah has mentioned as what is the authentic way for us to carry about ourselves. But what happens amongst us today is as a result of what we have moved away from, or what we have find ourselves in. And that is a reality check we must also look at. That sometimes the downfall is when these things happen. I'm not saying that, some people say, they study now, why you're going to interrupt marriage now and then you have a child and then it's going to happen and that will happen. Better we finish study first and then what? Get married. So the young man say, I can't wait so long. And I say, me? Find somebody else and he gone. Finish. Because my life, I want to what? Move on. I can't wait. This is really what takes place. So should we or should we not allow our daughters to marry at a certain age? Or when a proposal, an ideal proposal come and we say no, well then we must also know that if it was in our daughter's heart or in our son's heart to get married at this age and we refuse them, what's going to happen? Alright, I'm not saying that we are wishing bad for anyone or thinking of anything like that. I'm just saying what we see in society today with respect to those things. Alright? So our next aspect of it is that when we come to a proposal, our next important criterion is that where you study, boy, what you just do? Most mothers want for their daughters doctors, lawyers, people good paying job, best things, because they want to make sure that their financial situation of their daughters are taken care of. In a proposal, if the question is about what? Money or property or some stable job, we have to ask ourselves if this was the criterion that we have learned prior to proposals. Because proposal comes now, and all the things we learn about what the hadith tells us to look for, we are looking for that. All we're looking for now is what? Finance. Then, we didn't understand what Allah says in that ayat of Quran. He says, if they are poor, ay fuqara, yughnihumullah, Allah will enrich them. That in marriage, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakat in it. Allah puts barakat and wealth in a marriage. A marriage may start with a person sleeping on a piece of cloth, on a mattress. This is how they start their life. And if Allah wants, He can grow that into what? Something that is good, something that has barakat, wealth, love, affection, good children, good behavior, and everything comes out of it. But when it starts on the correct foot, Allah says, yughnihumullah. Allah is the one that puts wealth in a marriage. He puts barakat in it. It is not dependent on anyone else but Allah. It's not how much the husband could give. Because ma'adallah, you choose this person, and the day you marry, the next day he gets in an accident, he can't move again. What happened? What happens? The marriage finish? Or you end up with a husband who can't walk or can't move? What do? Yughnihumullah. Allah is the one who enriches in the hearts of people. Don't ever let this out of our hearts. Don't ever misunderstood what Allah tells us in the Quran. To think in our own selves that we become what Allah is. Ma'adallah, may Allah save us from that. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us as a human being what we should do as a parent, or what we should guide our children on. It's not that there's no level of looking between lineage or the level of comparability between our wealth and that type of thing. Islam allows all of these things. But what I'm saying, it should not become the major principle of our decision. Because Allah says, Yughnihumullah. Allah is the one that enriches the lives of people. And it is only enriching when what happens? When there is obedience in that marriage, when there is love in that marriage, when the both parties work together for the sake of Allah and they build together, then you see barakat come out of that marriage. Barakat comes out of it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enrich their hearts and grow their wealth together, that they enjoy their company. No matter what, it doesn't matter what you eat, or if you're eating one enamel plate with rice and sardine or some kind of food, it doesn't matter what. But you enjoy that meal together. That is love. That is love for each other. That you will bring her probably some green fig and she cooks some fish with it. Whatever it be. But this is what you can bring to the table with love. Allah puts barakat in that love. Allah puts khair in that love. Allah puts goodness in it. Because yughnihumullah. What Allah looks for is what you could bring in love and relationship between you and this woman. Or what this woman could bring love to you with. For the sake of Allah. So in this principle, when it comes to looking at a proposal for wealth, just always remember, Allah says, Yughnihumullah. Allah is the one who enriches min fadlihi, from His bounties. What we have, or the position that we have in society today, or the wealth that we have, is from the fadilat and the bounties of Allah. It is not what we work for. It is what Allah has given to us. It is not ours. It is a favor that Allah has given us to use. And sometimes you would put a pressure on a man, a young boy says, I want for dowry now, because when you make the acceptance stage, once the proposal is made, then you can start discussing before the day of the nikah, how much of what? How much the dowry should be. And that's the next topic we'll come to next class, the dowry itself. But if you establish a dowry beyond the means of this boy, he might have to work 10 years to pay for it. So he spent all years paying what? Dowry, before he could what? Make a living with this woman. Because of the expectations. And is it a shart and a condition for dowry according to Imam Abu Hanifa alayhi rahmah? According to Imam Abu Hanifa alayhi rahmah, it is not a shart. It is not a condition for the validity of the marriage. Alright? It is not a condition for the validity of the marriage. However, it is a part of the Sharia, and the law tells us in the next way that for the betterment of the woman and the strength of the woman, a dowry must be given. Must be given. To give her honor and to give her status, a dowry must be given. So therefore, we will come to understand what the Rasulullah did and how the Sahabas did with dowry in the next class, inshallah. But let's continue on the principles, and we have a few minutes again to close off. Let's look at the other part of it. For the fear of intimidation. Sometimes a boy or a person might like someone, wants to get married to this person, but they will never go to that person and ask. Or they feel afraid, or they feel ashamed. Because if I go and ask and make a proposal to this particular woman, the people will watch me and laugh. They will belittle you. They will run you. They will scorn you. Could that happen in our society today? You feel that happen? I don't feel so. I can't believe it could happen. Many young men are also what? Feel inferior. They feel worthless. They don't feel they could make a life and live and be responsible, because we have brought them down with high-level expectations. High-level expectations. We went through a sacrifice to reach where we are in life. We didn't come rich just like that, or we didn't have all that we have in what? one day, but we want this young man to be like us one day when he comes to proposal. Think about it.
You have to be rich, but you have to be ambitious.
Ambitious is the key word. He must be ambitious. He must be willing to do something. But don't look and belittle someone. If you don't agree with him, don't throw down this boy's proposal in such a manner that you belittle him, that he feels he cannot go to anyone else to make a next proposal. Don't ever go down that road. That you throw away someone's proposal, that they feel as though they are nobody and will never want to go make a proposal again. You treat with them with love, with care, you advise them. And if you cannot tell them what you feel in your heart, get someone who feel they are close to them to give them that you don't want this proposal to your daughter, as the case would be. But don't ever treat them with scorn, because they may not get an opportunity to such people again, and some other people might come their way who may not be like that, and they might just say, well, nobody don't really care for me, when they're Muslims, they don't really care if I think so, then let's go with somebody else and they finish. Finish with it. That will eventually be the outcome. Right? So, that fear of intimidation is part of it. Now, the important aspect now, many people today and many young men fear commitment in marriage today, because we have not taught our children the importance to be committed to a marriage. What is a commitment in a marriage? See, proposal comes, I'm not ready to marry yet. Daughter say, I'm not ready to marry yet. Son say, I'm not ready to marry yet. I still have to do this. I still want to finish that. And you want to put me in this kind of thing? Come on now. You see what we have to go through in life today? So they're not ready yet. So we ask ourselves, when is the best time to get married? If they're not ready yet, and they'll never be ready yet, when is the best time? This is what happens. When will be the best time and suited time? And we have learned that as well. Whenever our children become attracted to anyone outside of the sex, it tells us that they are ready for marriage. In other words, the first term, don't try to what? Play, mass, and afraid, powder. In other words, what they're trying to say is, don't want to get married and try to live married life, and you want to what? Get married? No, this is not a game like that. If you want someone in your life, and you're playing with someone else's children, and you have to get married, make sure and get married. But this is not a game. This is not a game. Important at the time of proposals as well is that we must know that when our children, when the right time is, we must let them know that. If you are fooling around with this man's daughter, or you are fooling around with this man's son, we're going to straighten it out one time. It's either you marry or you break it off. Because that sin of yours is going to fall on my head. That is the way it is. That is the way it's going to be. This is the law of Allah and the law of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he has brought before us. And if we look at all of this, why and when is the best time? Just look at that and you'll know when is the best time. It's no hard and fast rule to understand that, because we could see that. We could see that. And we will know when is the most appropriate time for our children to get married. And let's just close off the last piece of page 28 and we'll close off class, inshallah. For women who have previously been married, this means explicitly agreeing to the proposal. For virgins, in these schools of Islamic jurisprudence, they can either explicitly agree or say nothing. But an explicit disagreement negates the proposal in either case. All right? Now, there's a lot more we can mention about this, inshallah, but we'll stop there today, inshallah. So, jazakallah to everyone for making the effort to be here, inshallah. And let us make dua and close, inshallah. Allahumma ameen. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تباركت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له أحدا صمدا لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد فسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين برحمته الرحيم